Now I think we're ready. Right, so we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Regular board meeting on Monday, August the 14th, 2023. First item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda.
I would like to move that we move item H on the consent agenda to a discussion of this item. That's the 2023-24 graduation dates.
Motion to move item H on the consent agenda, which is the approval of the 23-24 graduation dates for CTCHS and WHS, to a business and discussion item. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions? All those in favor? That motion carries 7-0. Jacqueline, August, sorry. You got it. You're gonna make it 9B, okay.
And then approve the agenda as updated.
A motion to approve the agenda and a second as updated. All those in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Thanks to the guests here and online for joining us this evening. We appreciate you being here. We'll move into citizens open forum. And looks like we have Dave Jermark on the registration to talk about the child care grant. And Dave, come on up. I'll just give a quick little note. So we'll give you 3 minutes to speak about this, Dave. Appreciate you being here. So come on up if you, wherever you're comfortable.
Thank you. Starters, hope everybody had a good weekend. It was a beautiful day. So, anyway, I'm just doing a follow-up on this. At May's board meeting, I questioned our school board administration how it can effectively, efficiently provide such expanded services such as the grant request for a new child care facility while fulfilling their seemingly fundamental responsibility as an academic institution. I have personally requested from our school board administration to publicly provide a 5-year funding projection of this proposed new facility to our community. 4 months later, our community has not received any response. With or without final grant award determination, when major fiscal upgrades to our school district are planned for future implementation, the public deserves honest answers. I realize there are many needs that exist within our community and student population, but the question of who should be providing these services of this magnitude is open to serious debate in district-wide community input. Many relevant questions arise, such as, is it reasonable to compete with current/future community-wide child care providers? Has the Grant Coalition Group offered the same assistance to current community child care providers to expand their facilities? I hope that our leadership discuss legitimate questions such as these prior to making a board commitment. The excuse that we will eventually come up with the funding if awarded a grant is an irresponsible excuse. For now, citizens are continually met with a wall of silence by our board on this question, and quite a few unanswered questions from others. For every school district that continues to expand the services they provide, it will also become more and more difficult to ever fully fund education because so many responsibilities are being transitioned into our schools. I am certain this grant opportunity will come up again soon, and citizens want honest answers from their elected officials. This is a serious financial and social decision for a school district that, if left unanswered, will further erode trust in competent leadership. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Received communications. Does anyone have anything to share this evening? Okay, positive board comments.
I wanted to thank our donors. I noticed the last couple of meetings, we've had a lot of donations to all the different school programs. And it's been really exciting to see the community involved with everything that's going on. And thank you for all the support of the community.
It's pretty general, but thanks to all the USD 379 employees who have got the buildings ready, got the schedules ready, the transportation set up, the classrooms ready. I know that the teachers are in there getting everything perfect for that first day that's coming up this week. So thank you for all of the time that they put in.
Just wanted to kind of reiterate that too, just it's exciting night around town with back to school night, and just thanks for those teachers and staff that roll out the red carpet to parents and their new students, and it's an exciting night at our house, and I know it was an exciting night for several other houses to get to go to their rooms, so it is time.
Kickoff was good. Yeah, positive feedback there, so I'm gonna add that. Okay. Anybody else have anything to add? All right, thank you. And we'll move on to the consent agenda. Any questions about the items here from anyone? I'm going to approve the items in the consent agenda as presented. Second. A motion and a second. All those in favor? Carry 7-0. Takes us to then the report section. Anybody have anything to share this evening on board reports? Nothing, then we'll move to the superintendent's report by Mr. Nelson.
Yes, thank you very much. It has been an exciting last couple of weeks and another exciting week ahead. It's always a stressful time of year, but a very joyful and exciting time of year too. And it's great to see everyone back. And like you guys just reiterate what you said, it takes a village. It takes a lot of individuals to get open back up and get our schools ready and get the classrooms ready. And so I'll second that. A huge shout out to every single person who's contributed to that in the last several months, which leads into some of the updates that I provided in my report regarding kind of where we are on finishing up summer projects. I'm happy to discuss or talk about any of those that you might like. We're getting close to closing out the insurance claim from the storm damage. They just, namely, the big one was getting the roof area fixed and repaired at the high school. And I see they were just wrapping up that tonight, and so that's a piece that really needed to be done. I've included some information in here, kind of where we are on the activity complex construction and what is yet to come. But as it stands now, everybody will hit their target date of August 25th and should be open and ready to go by the September 1st game. I included a little bit in there just as a reminder. I know you guys are aware, but of the budget timeline between this month and next month. Our publication did get published in the paper last week, and so we've met that obligation. And so then, as you can see, what's left in the bullets, we'll finish up in September, hold some hearings, and then hopefully officially adopt our budget. September is a busy month for TELEC and our business office here because it involves 2 of our annual audits. So Barney's will be here in the month of September doing our private audit that we're required to do. and then KSD will audit, the co-op. And then KSD comes in later in the year and does our public school district. But September is a busy month and demands a lot of time from our staff. And I didn't have it on here because I wasn't sure I was gonna have it ready, but do have a very preliminary enrollment update. And again, these are preliminary. This time of year, we still have a lot of families that have to enroll, even though we know they're coming. Or we are also waiting on any students that have moved for those school districts where they've gone to request records. And we don't take them out of our school until those records are requested. But our secretaries know all of these things in great detail. And so they sift through what they know. And again, it's not in stone, but it looks as if we're going to be right at the same enrollment numbers we were last year. So we're not taking a huge growth, not taking a big decrease. We're just staying steady and kind of like we've been doing the last 4 years. We've kind of slowly been creeping up a few kids here or there, but we've been, give or take a handful for the last 4 or 5 years, which is something to really celebrate because the rest of the majority of the school districts in the state of Kansas are declining enrollment and really struggling to stay, especially those not in the metro area or more urban area. And so it is something to celebrate. We will have to really keep a close eye on these in the next couple of years, in particular with our couple of larger classes at the high school here in Clay Center. And so that could be a couple of years that we really need to keep an eye on, depending on how many incoming kindergartners we have. I think they had around 80 this year in Clay Center. There's currently 7 in Wakefield. And so when you kind of compare, they kind of balanced each other out because I think Clay Center graduated maybe 67 last year. And so we bring in 80. Wakefield had that large kindergarten class last year, I think 17 or so, and as seniors. And so those kind of balance each other out and help that number stay nice and steady. So anyhow, I think it's something to celebrate. And by the September meeting, we'll have hard enrollment numbers and we'll know, but those should be give or take. So be happy to take any questions on any of that information.
Right, if nothing, then we'll move on to, thank you, Mr. Wilson. We'll move on to Anita, the Philip Director's report. Any additional questions for Anita? Report tonight?
Lots of training this week, last week was really busy. Today was, and Tom and I are going to Blue Valley tomorrow to do a presentation with gen ed teachers on special education there in the morning, so. We're ready to get kids in the building and
Most all the districts start on Wednesday then.
Wednesday and Thursday.
Okay. So, yeah, everyone's back to working.
But we're still getting records requests for kids that have moved, but today I got 4 for Wakefield, like new kids coming in Wakefield, so that's exciting. My secretary was gone, so. I think I did it okay. I got some samples, see if they got it or not, but they said, I tried.
All right, anything else? Okay, thank you, Anita. Move on to the Director of Curriculum report with Jacqueline. Still looking for a board member if you want to be on the wellness team. The wellness team is a requirement of our food service program. And so we look at some of the food service things. We look at physical activity in the building, like as far as PE class, recess time, that kind of thing. And we always throw in some wellness, physical activities to offer to our staff as well, just to have some ideas. So if anybody's interested, we just meet twice a year. So if you're interested, just shoot me an email. And if there's more than one of you, it's totally fine too. So we had our new teachers report, and we had a group of 10. Super excited about them. It was real fun this year to come up with a theme and kind of look at the group. And
kind of see what represents them well, and so we're glad to have them. There's a few people that came here, maybe because they were in a surrounding community and wanted to come to USD 379, but a lot of them have a connection back to Clay County or Clay Center or Winfield, so that's pretty awesome. We did had our kickoff on the 10th, and I was going to show you this picture. Our keynote speaker is right here. Kansas Teacher of the Year, Brian Skinner, who is a 2008 graduate of CCCHS. And so he asked his former teachers and classmates to come and join him down below for a picture. So that was pretty cool, all the connections he had. He didn't ask his babysitters to come, or I would have joined in the photo. But he had college and K-12 classmates in the room, so that was pretty cool. He did a nice job, so we're very proud of him. So I'm thankful he came. Like Anita said, lots of trainings, kickoff meetings. We had our professional development council, our career tech ed people met, so we've had a lot of those kind of going on. And tomorrow is a work day for our teachers to get ready for the first day of school. And then the last thing I put on here was our crisis team. We did have our first meeting for the year, and we're kind of focusing on our reunification process. And throughout our crisis plan, we have different sites listed, and so we're going to try to hit all of those this year. We've worked on 3 of them, 3 out of the 7. So we're going to hit them and walk through them. And then I've been working with the hospital on the last time we practiced up there was before all their remodels. So we're going to go up and do a small walkthrough and then do a bigger one up there as well. So we are on call to, just as an example, if a neighboring school district would have some sort of accident and be called on, our team could go help facilitate till their team arrived, if that makes sense. So, or until someone from their school could come. So it's something that our team takes pretty seriously and has a pretty good plan in place. So, and then the last thing I was going to tell you, I just added 2 more high school workers on the personnel. Project Lead needs our high school workers. I had 2 on and forgot the other 2, so they are added on there. And just so you know, whenever we had high school workers, 18 over, we always do background checks, fingerprints, whatever may be required. But with our high school helpers, we check with high school personnel just to make sure it's a good fit for them. Something they'll be good at, and I think we have some good ones to add to our staff. So, any questions?
That moves us to the business and discussion items. We have 2 now this evening. The first is the boundary change request from USD 224. So there was some significant amount of information that was uploaded in Board Docs. So at this point, we'll open it up for discussion.
Everything in there was what you guys asked from them before discussing it. And so I just loaded everything that I was provided by 224. So that's about what I would.
Do they have anything they'd like to discuss? Anything they want to?
Well, I contacted the Fitzemeyer family. I just didn't feel like I should make a decision, a permanent decision for them without contacting them. I had a good visit, ended up doing some work for them because 224 hadn't really provided the difference in the mills and how that would affect their family. So I called the county clerk and we talked about the difference in the 2 mills. We talked about, then I took the assessed valuation and did that work for them. So it does increase their taxes a little bit. Because we have about a 4 mil, well, based on last year, a 4 mil higher assessment, but they were fine with that difference. And they were positive about moving forward. I just know that this was not, something they asked for and felt like we needed to know their perspective on it before we voted as a board.
I also did the same thing, reached out and chatted with, it's a Meyer family just to get an idea of, their sentiments and, shared the same, they shared the same thing. I know that they have, agreed to this change if we so desire, as a board to make this decision. I think probably my biggest concern is just, setting precedents. What does this potentially do, if we make this decision? So I think that's something that none of us know what the answer is, right? But something that we maybe should consider, so. But just want to kind of state my thoughts about this overall. Anyone else have any thoughts or questions?
30 years ago, how many times have you seen something like this?
Because I've been on there the first time, but doesn't mean it's gonna be the last now.
Yeah.
Every time somebody moves, are we gonna change our boundary if they come and make a request? I don't know, I'm not in favor of it. I haven't gotten a good reason why to do it.
I guess one perk of it is the Fitzmyer family has 4 young boys and hopefully will be coming back to the area. And then they've gone through our school district. And by moving this property into our district, they'd be able to take some of their farm down and put a house there and have their kids. So Arian's grandkids be able to be in our school district. It wasn't, they're not the ones that initiated it, but it is a nice side effect of this arrangement. Because we could be looking at additional families coming in.
And it's kind of a unique circumstance too, where it was part of, that piece of ground was part of their district originally.
So I asked the suit if he could provide any documentation, and he said there was no record of that ever happened. So if it did, there was no record of it. Just an interesting tidbit.
that's, yeah, that's because that was my biggest thought was, I mean, it's a pretty unique circumstance for, and also for somebody who wishes to serve in that community as an active member of that community. I mean, it would have to be a really pretty good reason like that for me to want to do something like that for somebody else. And they did all of the legwork to find a match and to have everyone, I mean, ahead of time before they even presented to us. So I was impressed with that. I was really happy that they went the extra mile.
Well, at this point, we have information from USD 224. We don't have to do anything, to be honest. It's a choice that we can make as well. Or we don't have to accept this, or we can.
Well, I'll make the motion so we can put it to a vote. I move that property is located. I have to read all of that. Should we read all of that? Located at SO2 TO7 RO1E acres 37.9 northeast 4 northwest 4. Do I need to read all that? All right.
You can just say as
Presented in the documentation that we move forward with the transfer from USD 379 to USD 224.
Okay, we have a motion and second to move forward as presented. All those in favor? All those not in favor? Motion passes 5-2. And then item B is graduation dates.
So
Did you want to talk about this?
yeah, I asked it to be moved into out of the consent agenda because I've heard feedback from other parents asking if we would want to change CCCHS back to Sunday graduation date. I don't really think that that's necessarily our decision. I would rather table it for a month, ask the parents to talk to Bud, give their thoughts to him, and then see in September if he still feels like the Saturday date is the best date for the placement of graduation.
And just the opposite of Wakefield, they got it down at 4:30 on Sunday. Did they request that? They
Yeah.
did?
Mhm.
Wow.
Saturday is last
Yeah, last year was Saturday.
Saturday at 1, one was at 10, one was at 1. I'm thinking they're gonna have it on Sunday, they would want to have it at 4:30 in the afternoon.
I think when they're both on Sunday, what do we normally do? Like at 2 and
4:30, 2 and 4:30.
I think it's very difficult for families to have this flipping and flopping of dates. It's having a predictable, date. And the reason it originally wasn't on Saturday was because there used to be a track meet, like a regional track meet was on that Saturday or something. Because it was the weekend after. We used to have it not Mother's Day weekend, basically.
Well,
And
now
then Keisha moved that, so it allowed for the Saturday to be used. I don't have a strong opinion, but I do know that there's parents that have already kind of moved forward with the thought that it was going to be Saturday morning.
So the conflicts they have on Saturday is the college graduation and state tennis are the two that come up primarily.
Right.
And we moved it when COVID hit because we had to have it outside and have a big enough area for people to socially distance hold graduation. So we said, well, let's start it on Saturday morning. So we have 3 times in that
Right.
weekend. And so.
Potential times, yes.
Yes, so, yeah, I agree that we shouldn't wishy-washy it, but let's make that decision, make sure and do it in September rather than doing it in April and give parents a month to be able to talk to the building principals and get their input. If everybody likes, if the majority likes what they presented, then we stick with it.
So is the consensus then to table it for another month, the next month?
As long as we decide. by
I just,
Christmas.
yeah, I agree with it.
Okay, so we will table that. We'll let anybody that has any concerns with the graduation date, please go to to the building principal. And then we will bring it back to the board next month for a final decision. Okay. Great, that takes us then to the executive session section of our meeting tonight. We'll take a break for a couple of minutes and we'll come back for executive session. We're ready. I move we go into executive session to discuss non-elected personnel matters pursuant to the non-elected personnel exception under KOMA. The open meeting will resume at 6:40. The executive session will include the board, superintendent, and council.
Second.
All those in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Jeff, you back?
You ready?
Okay, that takes us to our personnel section. We have quite a few here. Appointments, resignations, and terminations, summer help and such.
I move to approve the personnel report, including supplemental updates as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the supplementals as presented. All those in favor? Motion carries 7-0.
I move to adjourn
Motion to adjourn. All those in favor?
at
Assuming-
6:41. I move to adjourn at 6:41.